welcome to Lisa's Italian Kitchen. Headed into winter, what does that mean? Soup season, one of my favorite times of the year. We eat so many soups in Italy, and today I'm making for you one of my absolute favorite winter soups, my winter minestrone. So minestrone just means big soup. Minestra, and then one means big. So in the summer, I make a minestrone with summer vegetables. And in the winter, I make one using winter vegetables. So let's get started. It's so much fun and so delicious. And I have a few little tips I learned in Tuscany for you. So first we start with 1 cup of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to put this into the bottom of a big soup pan. I use the largest Le Creuset that I own. Now the great thing about minestrone too is you put things in stages, but then you just let it cook and it does all the work by itself. So to the olive oil, we're going to add, I have here about 12 cloves of garlic, which I've smashed. So I haven't cut them, I've just put them on my counter, and then I take my handy dandy mallet. This belonged to my mother, so it's at least from the 40s or 50s, and I love it. And then I smash. You can also smash with the flat side of a knife or smash with your hand. So let's put the garlic in. And then I have here 3 white onions chopped. If you prefer the sweet onion, the Vidalia onion, those are delicious in the soup as well. Okay, so we're gonna stir our garlic and onion. You can't have a good soup, especially not a winter soup, without the base starting with an excellent sofrito. I know I've used that word for you before, but it's so popular in Italian cooking. So sofrito is garlic, onion, and now I'm going to add 2 cups of chopped carrots. And we're going to let these saute. Sofrito is the basically the sauteing that you do of your classic vegetables that are the base of any soup or stew. Now these 3 veggies we're going to let saute for 10 minutes. And while I put my timer on 10, I'm going to explain to you some other very interesting, delicious tidbits about this particular soup. So in my winter minestrone, I have a winter green. And what I'm using today in my winter minestrone is bietola, it's called in Italian. In English, we say Swiss chard. So Swiss chard is not a terribly popular vegetable in the United States, but it should be. Full of minerals, full of vitamins, so good for you. It's delicious. I like to use the rainbow Swiss chard. So that means the stems are red, yellow, or white. And you'll see in my cut bowl here, I just kept those 2 whole for you so that you would see them. Here are some of the white stems as well. So we're not going to put those in yet, but I wanted to explain to you the green, the winter green that I'm using. In my minestrone, I also have 3 small russet potatoes cut up. So there's no pasta in this minestrone like in my classic minestrone where I put my little ditalini pasta. But this is a really hearty vegetable winter minestrone. So delicious. Now, again, while this is sauteing, let me explain to you, as you probably know, of course, in our minestrone, we use white beans. So these are cannellini, white kidney beans from Italy. And what I like to do is, so that the soup is thicker and not as thin, because, you know, it's a winter soup, I like to make a little bean pesto, if you will. So let's go ahead and make that while our vegetables are sauteing. In my blender, I have 2 cans of the Cento. You could use any brand of imported Italian cannellini. Why do you want to use the cannellini beans? Very important. Because Italian cannellini beans don't have the thick skin that great northern whites in the United States have. Look at how thin that is. It just literally disappears between your fingers. This makes it easier to digest, and it also It's just, it's a nicer texture in your soup. It's not a hard white bean like the Great Northern Whites are. So make sure you use the cannellini. So here I have 2 cans of the cannellini beans in my blender, and I'm going to add, I have 8 cups of broth that I've made. Now this is just vegetable broth because I like my winter minestrone, I like to keep it vegetarian. If you wanted to add a little pancetta or bacon to give it a crisp saltiness, you can do that if you'd like. But I'm going to add 2 cups of sauce. Excuse me, I'm so used to making sauce. 2 cups of my broth right here to these cannellini beans. And what am I going to do? I'm going to puree them. So it's going to make this lovely thick bean puree that's going to give corpo or body to your soup. So it's really nice when you're making a minestrone. It's really nice to have kind of a thick, hearty soup to it. Because after all, this is my winter minestrone. Oh, again, smell-o-vision. I can smell the garlic and the onions. Delicious. So let's just blend this and you'll see the pate or paste that I'm going to make from the beans. Okay, so let me show you the texture that you're going to get with this. You have this nice thick texture, and you've got some of the bean. I don't like it too thin, so I'm going to leave it a little, not chunky, but with some pieces of the bean, and this is going to give the soup just a wonderful feel to it. So we have that made. We're going to let these saute our sofrito vegetables saute a little bit longer until they get softer. So our sofrito has been cooking for 10 minutes and it's nice. The carrots and onions and garlic have become translucent. The carrots have become a little soft. The garlic and onion translucent, perfect. And so I showed you how we made our bean pesto, so we have that ready to go in. But the next step are the potatoes and the Swiss chard. So I'm going to take my cup of 3 small chopped russet potatoes, and there's my timer. And we're going to stir these, let them cook until they get a little soft. The potatoes are such a lovely touch in a winter minestrone. It gives a lovely texture, it gives heartiness, and with the bean pate and then the whole, we're gonna put a can of whole white cannellini beans in at the end. This is just a wonderful winter soup. It's great, eat a bowl by your fireplace with some crunchy Italian bread. Oh, cena perfetta, perfect dinner in the winter months. Okay, so now I have about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of bietola or Swiss chard. You can find Swiss chard anywhere, at your farmer's markets, in your grocery store, you name it. And I really encourage you to try it and enjoy it if you have not tried it before. It's just such a delight of a vegetable. Also, I have other recipes for Swiss chard, like sauteed Swiss chard in garlic and olive oil in my cookbooks. Very popular green in Italy. Okay, so we're going to let the bietola or Swiss chard and the potatoes cook for another 10 minutes. We've got the olive oil in here, so there's plenty of liquid. And then we'll go to our next step. So now our Swiss chard and potatoes are nicely cooked. They were on for 10 minutes too, and the potatoes will cook more, of course, while we let this soup cook for an hour or 2 after we're done. But we're going to add our salt and pepper now. So I've got about 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of salt. Let's do 1 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And now for the minestrone, I have 2 cans of San Marzano Italian tomatoes. You can use the non-San Marzano if you want, because this is soup. And so you're not going to have the bitterness. And these are good, regular, diced Italian tomatoes. So I like These are the chunky diced, and you can get the finer diced, the petite diced if you prefer. So we're going to put 2 cans of these tomatoes in to give it a wonderful tomato base. Now we've got all of, as I say, every time I make a soup, I really like to make my soups in stages where I cook the vegetables first and get them nice and soft with the olive oil and have a wonderful flavor from the olive oil, the garlic, and now we've got our salt and pepper in here, our tomatoes, and all of our vegetables. So now after this, we will add our bean pate or paste that I made in the blender. And this is just going to add another layer of texture. So look at those beautiful chunky tomatoes. Oops, splashing on myself as usual. Look at that. That would be delicious to eat just like that. But we're going to add another layer of texture with the bean pate, the vegetable broth, and then the whole beans. So you're going to have just a wonderful, hearty minestrone, big soup. So let's add our bean pate now from the blender. And this incorporates with the tomato. It's also a beautiful color. Look at that, the green, the red, looks like the Italian flag right now. That's appropriate. So let's finish up this, the pate, and then we're going to add our broth, our vegetable broth. At the very end, after this cooks for a good hour, at the very end we'll add the whole cannellini beans because those don't need to cook, they're fully cooked already. And we'll add our parsley, our rosemary, and of course, the pièce de résistance, we're going to add a Parmesan rind. This is so delicious, and this is the key to really good Italian soups. We add a piece, you can add whatever piece you want, a smaller piece if you'd like, a big piece, and you don't have to eat it. My father and I used to fight over the rind in the soup. We both loved it so much. But this is going to get gooey and delicious and add a Parmigiano flavor to your soup. Many people take it out before they serve the soup. Some people like to eat it. Of course, this rind, you should know, is just the cheese. There's no added rind that you couldn't eat to a wheel of Parmigiano. This is all natural. It's just the manner in which it's treated. So it's all cheese, nothing artificial. You can eat this whole thing. And we're going to add the Parmigiano Reggiano rind at the end when we add our parsley, beans, and some more seasoning, rosemary. So right now I've got this beautiful, look at that beautiful soup. And I'm going to add a few more cups of broth. And we're going to let this cook for a good 45 minutes to an hour. All the flavors are going to incorporate. Look at that deliciousness. The potatoes are going to get softer. And then we'll add our finishing touches. So now our winter minestrone has cooked down with all the vegetables. And I'm just going to put in our final touches. So our final touches are 1 can of whole cannellini beans. Of course, they don't have to cook. They're already fully cooked. To this, we're going to add, look at how beautiful that is in the soup. To this, we're going to add our Parmigiano cheese rind. Now, I'm going to put both in because I just love the flavor that it gives. And then, as I said, you can take it out if you'd like. We're going to add about a teaspoon of rosemary for a wonderful earthy flavor. And then a nice 3 to 4 tablespoons of chopped Italian parsley. This is going to cook for as long as you'd like, but I usually let it cook another hour to hour and a half, and everything is cooked through beautifully. And then we have our delicious winter minestrone. Oh, che bontà, as we say in Italian. What goodness. So, Tutti a tavola. Buon appetito. Ciao ciao.